Okay, go ahead, Sarah.
Okay, I'll start from the first step of once the user get into the canvas. So okay, we have here shadow box of a function box, and we have this is where we create the custom input, custom attribute for an input or an output. No change in here. This one. Okay, I have one change here on the screen for the interface attribute, the input. I've added this button so the user maybe can enter the data directly into the input, or maybe get the attribute for this input.
So if you click on get attributes, what happens?
Yeah, we'll get this. Yeah, maybe you can show it later as long as I applied it for another thing. This one, maybe I can remove it. No, I don't have to remove it from here as long as I have a function in this action. So it will show up another dialog. To get the attribute value. We agreed that the action can get a function and attribute name. So here I'm showing only the list of the attribute, the function action, and the attributes inside each function.
Okay, that makes sense. Just one thing. The get attributes was within that component, right? Was it within the component, or was it the workflow action? Can I see that again?
Yeah, just this one. Oh, okay. Get back to the screen. It's within the component itself, not the action.
It's within the component, right? Makes sense. Okay.
It's a function.
So the only recommendation, since this component is binded to some function already, right? We should make that just some workflow, I should say. Then by default, we should display that workflow and its inputs.
Sorry, I don't get it.
So this component right now, when we do the completeness on shadow box, right? That shadow box is that component itself is binded to some specific workflow action.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is that by default we should show that workflow and its inputs.
The inputs for the workflow or for the function?
But that specific workflow where the component is being binded to.
Yeah. So in our case, as long as I'm having here only one function, I should back to the list. I should only have this resource assignment. I don't have to show this one.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to, but I just want to make sure from a business perspective, we always go to that specific workflow and its inputs.
Get back here. You need to select only one attribute at a time. Usually, we don't have the option to select multiple attributes in the same time.
Correct.
It's only one attribute.
Yes.
Okay. So only one selection. I think this is a different one from the we were discussing. This is to add another attribute to the function, to the action, not the function. This is not for the case we have to get attributes. This is we just bring some attributes from a function. So I think we can add as many as the user wants. So in that, as we have here two attributes, but in our case for the function and to get attribute value, I will show only that I can that user can select only one attribute.
Okay, and I don't know if you want to make it two boxes still, or just make the specific workflow as one of the, you know.
The list of the action of the function will show only the functions that are included in this action. So
this is
this is for the action.
This is for the action. Yes. Then if it's for the action, then you can have multiple components for that action. That's fine.
But if I have,
but if it's
in our case here, I still have only one function. If I add more, the list will be added.
Yes. Correct.
Okay. So and this is again. But here now, after we have a one function inside this action, I can select the value of this attribute. This is the case for custom attributes.
Okay.
I define the properties of this attribute, and as long as we don't have the JSON type defined, I added the user here can add the type. And the value, I think the value is optional. I see some examples that user don't add a value. Am I correct?
That's right.
So
the value is the get attributes, or what you have is fine. Yes.
Usually I have one question. The action, I can select only the attributes in the component file, but in other actions I see that the user can select for the outputs. The user can select from the attributes or from the output of an interface. What is the difference between them?
Can you show me?
So for the actions, the user can get the attribute only from this attribute section of the component. Then only this. Okay. Other examples, I see
That's
that inside the node template itself, in the output, I see maybe not this example, maybe in another example, I see that the user can select the attribute, the outputs from the attribute section or the output section here inside the interfaces.
Yes, we should make both of these things available.
So for that list, in other cases, I should show the attributes and the outputs attributes of an interface.
Yeah, if you can make it like an attribute specific get attributes. So there's output specific and attribute specific, right? And we can make both of them available.
Does it make any difference?
Can you go back to that example? We can just take a quick look.
Actually, I don't remember the methods this example or a different example also. But let me see. I think this is from the attributes. So I it's another example. I don't have it here now. Maybe you can get.
Okay, let's take a look at it. I just wanna, if we can just verify that.
And actually, I don't remember one example. I see this this one.
Yeah, this is the output of specific component. Yeah, I think what we can do is make both of them available in general, but because there could be cases where we may use output as well.
Okay. And this one where the user can get some attributes from a function to an action.
Okay.
Okay. This is an example of a component without capabilities. Okay, I have one question. In our example, in this example, I see that the net confice is a component that is coming by the enrichment process. This one. Okay. So the user can access it from the worker flow and the template, as long as I don't have inside. In that case, we can access it only from the template section. Yeah.
The template section will give you the requirement and capabilities, right?
Yeah. But I'm asking about that this component we don't have inside our workflow steps. Okay. In our case.
So that's a good question. What happens to that component is that it is being returned as part of the enrichment process.
Yeah.
So your question is, how do we fill out those attributes for that component, right?
I think that within the workflow or the template, the user can just select the function and edit this function attribute from a template or from a workflow. But for our case here, for the NetConf device, it's only here in template the user can edit this function attributes.
Right, but how would the user know to fill it out?
Fill it out with what?
How would the user know once it's enriched, right? How does he know to do this step?
Just by selecting it and the function attribute side below selection, and that's applied to the other function here. So user can edit the function attribute from a workflow or the template tab.
Because that netconf component itself also should be defined. It should, like, netconf device has an instance specific name. So what I'm trying to say is that we also have to define it correctly. I think somehow if we can, because what I'm trying to say is that if the user goes to template, he'll have to select that instance, and then he'll have to define it.
No, it's not. Do you mean from the template or workflow?
So the question is, where do you best do that? The definition, is it best to do it from the workflow step or the best to do it from the template step?
I see that the template, the enrichment output is shown within the template section. I don't see the netconf device inside the workflow.
Right, it's not within the steps. That's 100% for sure.
So
Okay,
it will be only accessible within the template section.
Okay, so that means that if we have two workflow steps that are using netconf device, then somehow we need to indicate that they need to, complete this specific component, because.
Do you mean that for each component I have to define the attributes of the netconf device?
Right. So, Sarah, is there a way in templates itself we can like indicate 2 or 3 as the number of workflows that need to complete in the template screen? So I do something in workflow, right? I want an indication in templates that I have an incomplete step. And by giving it a 2 or 3 or some number that will tell me the number of instances I have that are incomplete.
Yeah, I ought to include that for maybe next to deployments. Once the user wanted to deploy this action, there will be maybe an indicator that you cannot deploy this package until you finish the missing step.
Okay. Yeah, I'm okay with.
Yeah.
But how would the user know that he has to go to the template itself? Can we do something in the template itself that indicates there?
Okay, but maybe after the enrichment. This won't happen after before the enrichment.
Correct.
So once he moved to the enrichment process, maybe a notification will ask him to complete the remaining step. And maybe from this notification, he can go directly to maybe I don't know. I don't have overview of this now, but I can work around this point. Hello?
Yes, I hear you. The only question I have is once they get that notification, for example, what if they close the screen and come back tomorrow to try to fill it out? How would they know what to complete?
Yeah, there will be another indicator for how many things that need to be completed.
So I think we have to provide some sort of indicator of, saying some steps are not completed within a specific tab within the designer.
My was in for the netconf device. We only have this netconf attribute with these capabilities. We only have the netcomp device, but in our example, I see that we have the RESTCOMP device, the RESTCOMP again.
So we have to, yes, Abdul did some changes manually. We didn't submit it to the code. I'm supposed to talk to him about that so we can push it in the code as well. So there's supposed to be RESTCONF and NetConf.
So the changes will apply to the component file. We will have the RESTCONF.
I believe so. It's not yet finalized. We might have a separate, like, RESTCONF device instead of NetConf device. I have to talk to Abdul and see what the best approach will be.
Maybe they have the same properties, but the values are different.
Yes, it's completely different. We may go with like a different file itself, or we may include RESTConf as a capability inside NetConf device.
I think that applies more.
But I have to talk to him about it. I haven't discussed it yet with him.
So so this is an empty. Here's an empty capability. We have the NetConf, and we will have another title the same like this one for the RESTConf. Should I include all the capabilities here? But only the required attributes will be included. But I have to mention the NetConf and the RESTConf.
Yes, you should include all the capabilities, correct.
Okay. So in this case, the user will have to add the other.
It could be a get attribute or whatever.
Yeah. So by clicking on that on the button, the model for to get attribute value, like we have here. So in that case, we have the user selected the resource assignment, which have an artifact name. This will be his last leaf of this tree.
Okay, and this is going to be only for resource resolution component.
Yes.
What I'm trying to say is that only for resource resolution, you give them only for assignment params and assignment map. He has a ability to get into that level.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I would want to say assignment map should get to your specific, artifact and parameter name. Assignment params, the only thing you can get to is just the artifact name.
So inside the assignment map, I can see I can select the parameter names, but in assignment parameter I cannot.
Correct.
But how can I indicate this? That
can we just
properties?
Say it again.
Asking about that. The assignment map has these properties that I can go to the last leaf of the tree. Is that a predefined properties?
They're not predefined. They're properties based on what we have in the mapping file.
So in this, we'll have this tree for the assignment map.
Yes. And for assignment params, you can just not do number 4. It should be 1, 2, and 3. And if it's any other component, the only thing they can select is up to choice 2, right? There's nothing else to select from.
Okay, so the artifact, I know about the parameter, but for the artifact, I cannot select it only for the assignment map.
Assignment map, you can select up to 4. Assignment params, you can select up to 3. And anything else that's not assignment map and assignment params, you can only select to number 2.
For the parameters, I can select only, select only one parameter.
Yes, that's okay.
Just we only select one parameter or maybe one.
Right. So I want to say for each attribute, you can only select one specific attribute for within the assignment map from the mapping file.
Yeah. So after the selection, you will have it. And of course, by the function name, all other choices will be deleted.
That's right. By the way, Sarah, are the latest this latest updates, are they already uploaded?
Yeah, can find
Okay,
them.
good.
Okay, here I don't have any other changes. Yuri, do you have any other questions?
Uh, if you get no, as long as you have the files uploaded, I will take a look. I just want to explore more on the netcon for in template mode, filling out that specific component. I just want to explore that a little more, and maybe provide additional feedback.
Mm.
That was very good, Sarah. Thank you for presenting this design.
Thank you.
All right, so let's see. Ahmed, did you have any updates you'd like to go over? Any questions around, what Sarah or I have showcased?
Actually, I'm still learning the business, so I was asking what I understand that we have components. The components is what constitutes a workflow, and these components have attributes, and we can create some workflows onto a template. Am I right? Am I talking right?
You're coming a little low, but from what I heard, you said we have a component. We can for each workflow we can fulfill that component, and then for each component of the workflow we can do the define an attribute and then define how that attribute is resolved using a constant value or using some get attributes.
Okay.
And that is all correct.
Okay. So I was listening to you about functions, and I don't know what functions are useful and where will it be used.
Yuri, Ahmed is asking about that the function.
Can you say it again, sir?
Yeah, Ahmed is asking about where do we get right, Ahmed?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
was asking what's role for what, where would it be located, how it will be used.
Mhm.
Uh,
It's actually it's coming from the configuration.
yes. Okay. How I where will it be used? I take it from a specific configuration. How it will be related to a set.
Yuri, I'll first need to check where to get or where to add this function. As long as each package have a specific function. Yuri, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, and there are APIs, Ahmed, that can do the get, these all the functions. Okay, there's an API you can call to get all the node types, all these functions that the user will select from and work with.
Okay. Where will it be placed? This function. How it will be placed? How will it be a part of the workflow? In which piece of the workflow will it be placed?
It's very hard to hear you. Is there a way you can come closer to your mic or and
Okay,
speak up?
better? Can you hear me better now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. I'm just asking. I have a function, but I still don't understand where it will be placed.
Okay, all right. Sarah, show them that workflow step screen.
Okay, maybe first, Ahmed, this is where we create
Yes. Okay.
and after the management process, it represents all the types we have for the here. Okay. And this will
Yes.
reflect on the designer. So this is coming from the configuration of this package. Back to so this is our canvas, and inside Ahmed, this is the list of the actions. So inside this action, I can have multiple steps, and each step has a specific function that we need to execute to reach the next. So, once let me go to the function list. So this list of the functions are coming from the configuration we set on the package before.
Okay.
And the uh, of these functions to the workflow. That's how you create the
Yes.
workflow steps.
Okay. How the function will be related to a component. So how, for example, I'm creating
Components. Just naming.
is a component itself.
Yes,
Yeah, it's
correct.
just naming, different naming.
Okay.
And what I want to say, the function, okay, is an instance of that component, okay?
Okay.
So the example I like to give is like if I have a component of an eye, I can create two instances, one for left eye and one for right eye. And each
Okay.
eye has its own characteristics, and those characteristics are like blue color, or their brown, or their shape, or their size. And here the idea is that we have capability components as well that could be a netconf or resource resolution, but it's an instance of a specific component. And for that instance, you can define it to have its own, genetics or characteristics itself. Does that make sense, Ahmed?
Yes. Much more sense.
The list of these functions is just showing the type of a function. The naming is just a different. We can have multiple one function with multiple names. So we can use it in many times in the workflow.
Okay.
So in that case, maybe as you can see here, this function or this component name is a resource assignment, but maybe we can in another step we can add another the same component type but with different name. It can be with different attributes or properties.
Yes. Okay. Understood. Okay, that's understood.
And
The
the function
second
here,
question.
yeah,
Yeah, I was hearing you talking about something called enrichment.
yes.
Yes, the enrichment process. I don't understand what does it refer to.
Okay.
So enrichment, what it does is that when we create our initial steps, okay, and our initial um, design, enrichment process will look at our design, it will validate it. And if in our design we say that in order for us to execute this step, we need another capability like netconf, then that enrichment process will also address the dependencies and render and return, the backend will return all the dependencies that we called out during our enrichment process, during our design process, I should say. So here an example is that you have a a netcount device as a capability, and we define that as part of netcount NF account collection. So in order for us to have a netcount device, we have a requirement to a netcount device itself. So that enrichment process will return us the VNF netcount device because we defined it as a dependency within NF account collection itself, and that enrichment process will validate this design and then return all the dependencies that are being called in the design as well. And it also returns all the node types, all the artifact types, all the relationship types that are defined as part of our step definition.
Okay.
And we can show you, Ahmed, how that looks like, so you can see a real example, if you like.
Yeah, it will be much better.
Yeah, we can do that. Sarah, maybe I can show him that.
Do you want to share?
Yeah, give me 1 minute. I need to just log in to my other laptop, and I'll show him.
Yeah, okay.
Ahmed, if you have any other questions, why don't you ask? I'll get my laptop now.
Okay. I don't have any questions for now. I'm still exploring the project and the source code, and I'm matching them to the business.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. So what I wanted to do, let's see. I'm gonna take one file. Okay, you see all these files here?
Yes.
I'm gonna delete all these files, okay?
Okay.
You see the zip it contains definition, which is the main VLB CDS definition. Okay, it's defining the workflow steps. Okay, so you see here steps, which each step tells us which component to call. It also says what are the inputs, what are the outputs, and then I'm gonna close the workflow. You'll see also for each of the function instances or component instances, it also defines its characteristics and how we use it. And that's defined as part of resource assignment, config assign. So it's defined for everything. Okay. Yep.
Ahmed, this is that is from the interface and the data we on the interface.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. So what I'll show you next is that I'm gonna go ahead and enrich this package. Okay. So let me enrich this package. Give me 1 second. Where's Postman? Postman is here. Desktop. ONAP. Frankfurt. VLB. Okay. So let's see. I have to make sure. Give me 1 second. I'm connected, I think. Yep. So let's see. Okay, maybe somebody reset the lab. Give me 1 second. Let me check. Intel. All right. Let's see. SP00. I'll look at the instances. The IP we're using. It's standard folder, but okay, let me see. Let me try this 1 second. Okay, so let me make sure I expose that service and I'll show you. Minus N ONAP get pods, grep CDS, TL minus N ONAP, get service, grep CDS. Oh, looks like somebody deleted this environment. Let me see if I have another environment. Give me 1 minute. This is 3 months. Let me check. This one is not good. Give me 1 second. I'll check one more lab if it works. Great. If not, I'll ask somebody to restart this one. Okay, that looks better. Get services, grep, CDS, ONAP, edit service. We'll make this in. I'll make this a noteboard. Okay, so the IP is 31568. 31568. And I can use, let's try to use this one. Okay. And 31568. Okay, it worked. So give me 1 second. I can try enrich now. Enrich. Okay, enrichment failed. Why did it fail? It failed to get resources for me enough parameters. Give me 1 more minute. Let me see if I can give it simpler. Okay, so right now I don't have a good package I can show you, but I'll show you how this package, basically what happens. This package as part of enrichment, right now it's failing in validation because something's wrong with it. But what enrichment will return is the package itself validated, and it will also return all these artifacts as well. All these dependency artifacts that you need in order to execute this specific main definition file that we are defining in Tosca that includes workflow, component definition, and other things as well. Okay, that's how it works, but I'll try to see if I can demo you that maybe next week. I'll make sure we have a good file to work with.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, but the main idea here is that enrichment will give you back all these dependency files. It will validate this main definition file as well.
Okay.
Right? Okay, any other questions?
For now, I don't have more questions, but I will try to list the other questions after.
Okay, all right, no problem. All right, keep us posted, Ahmed. Thank you very much, Ahmed and Sarah, for joining.
Thank you.
We'll continue to discuss it throughout the week and next week. Thank you again for your support. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.